Carla. This is pretty much what you wanted, right? I know they were talking about maybe getting you back in Abu Dhabi, but you're like, I want to fight in November, New York, December. It kind of worked out perfectly to your plans, right?
Yes, I couldn't be happier with the way things worked out. I had a good amount of time to recover after the fight and kind of work on some skills, and I feel great. I mean, I'm fighting at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and like such a big card like this. You've been on big events before, but do you feel a different kind of energy being on a card like this, a venue like this?
Most definitely. I think the energy of just fighting in New York at Madison Square Garden, I mean, it's such a historic spot, and it's not something that was possible before a few years ago. So I think it's an electric energy, and everyone's really excited about the card, including myself.
Yeah, and I know you, after the last fight, you said you had some things to take care of physically. You saw doctors and whatnot. Did that all kind of pan out exactly how you thought it would in terms of the timeline and everything?
Yes, most definitely. I had to wait from a clearance from my physical therapist before I could accept the fight. I mean, right off the bat, I was like, Madison Square Garden, like, yes. But I was like, need to do the right thing and wait on my doctor. And once I got the go-ahead and green light, it was on.
Yeah, and we had Zhang in here earlier, and she kind of mentioned that there's nothing about your game that she fears in particular. Do you feel like that's kind of a miscalculation from her, and maybe in a way is she underestimating you?
I think probably a lot of people have felt that about my game, but doesn't really matter what she thinks or what she fears. I mean, I'm going in there with my best game, and this is probably one of the best camps I've had. So I'm just ready to go in there the best me and kind of prove the world wrong, I guess.
Yeah, I know, we don't have to go back to the last fight and talk ad nauseum about it, but when you sit here again, a few days away from fighting again, do you feel like you learned a lot from that last fight that you can bring into this one?
I learned something from every fight, and if anything, I was proud of my ability to kind of keep my emotions in check. I mean, regardless of the fans, I don't think I got wild or reckless, and yeah. But going into this fight, definitely plan on a little bit more of an exciting fight. That's for sure.
Weili's trying to do the same thing that you already did and recapture a title that she lost. So what do you think she's thinking that you've from your experience trying to recapture the belt this week? What do you think is going through her mind?
I mean, going into any title fight, I think it's definitely like a lot of pressure and a lot of motivation. But I think I definitely had a longer journey to get here, and if anything, my motivation going into a defense is huge because I've never been able to defend my belt, and that's been like a huge unfinished business for me that I'm excited to fight for.
And on Embedded, her coach said that he knew that you two would eventually be matched up sometime down the line. Was she a name that you knew eventually that you two would be matched up, whether it was for the title or not?
I mean, you fight in this division long enough, and at the top, you're going to fight a lot of the top girls. I didn't know when. I mean, it's hard to know where the cards fall, but yeah, I figured at some point we would fight, and I figured it'd probably be for the belt.
And obviously, she's had success throughout her UFC career, except against Rose. So, what has Rose done differently besides that head kick that she also replicated over 5 rounds in the next fight? What has she done right that the others just couldn't put together?
Well, in my mind, I mean, it could be wrong, but I think that she underestimated Rose as she's doing me. And yeah, I think she kind of wasn't expecting that from Rose, and Rose just brought her best game like I'm planning to do, and hopefully get a similar finish. Sorry, so I'm a little chilly. Not scared, I'm just chilly.
And a couple questions unrelated to your fight. I've been asking everyone this immediately. This might be Frankie Edgar's last fight in his MMA career. So were you a fan of his coming up? Do you have any memories of Frankie watching his fights or just around the UFC at all?
Frankie's one of my favorite fighters of all time, probably my favorite. It's been great watching him fight and kind of move through the weight classes too. I mean, I've always found inspiration from him because he was kind of like the little guy going into the fights, and I feel like that's kind of been me, and he has the same wrestling and striking, so it's kind of been a great person to kind of just like almost like a hero in the sport to watch over the years.
And finally, do you have any thoughts on the main event after your fight between Izzy and Alex?
I think it's just an exciting matchup, right? I mean, he's coming whenever somebody beats you, you have to have like a different mindset going into that fight. I wonder if there's any fear going into it. It's definitely like an exciting matchup because Izzy is obviously like a stand-up fighter too. So definitely expecting a war, that's for sure.
Carla, just down here. Obviously, you were the first strawweight champion back in 2014. When you think back to that time and how you felt, how does that compare to now?
I think I was definitely a lot younger in the sport, and I think everything I've done to kind of build myself up, and I'm a lot more of a veteran now, so it's definitely a different feeling just kind of going into fight week and going into the fight.
And as a fighter, how do you see yourself developed since then?
I feel that I've definitely gotten a lot stronger. I put a lot of size on working with the UFC PI. I've changed my mindset. I worked really hard on that. I've even been reading during this week and going through a lot of changes, like thinking more positively and having more belief in myself. I've worked on a lot of skills, going back to being a beginner in classes and relearning things and just constantly trying to evolve.
Carla over here.
When you look at Weili as a challenger, is there anything that stands out to you about her? Anything that you think you need to be aware of?
I think overall she kind of has a relatively, I wouldn't say like basic, but like there's nothing super like unique. Just the style's she's very powerful and very strong. So everything she does, it's definitely coming at you hard, but there's no like funky like leg locks or, I would say probably her spinning back fist that she got a knockout last time is a pretty good one. But overall, I feel confident going into the fight that I'm not going to see anything like too crazy out of the box.
And just last one, sorry. You said this was kind of like unfinished business, not being able to successfully defend your title last time. So how much will it mean to you to be able to do that this time in MSG?
I mean, if you're going to defend a title, you can't do it in a better place than MSG. So I'm super excited to feel the electricity of the crowd and the energy.
Carla over here. Everyone always talks about Weili's power and her striking. Talk to me about her grappling for a second. Like, how do you feel her grappling matches against yours?
I feel that I'm definitely the more technical grappler in wrestling and jiu-jitsu. I've seen her, go for takedowns, and she's very like strong. I feel that she's strong enough to where even if she like grabs on something, even if it's not her hands aren't in the right place or head's not in the right place, she powers through things because she is so strong. So I definitely have to just kind of like be on my guard of, just because this is not in the right place doesn't mean I'm safe. I think I got to like keep the aggression coming and just stay strong.
Now, you're heading into this fight. You're the underdog, which seems to kind of be a theme with your career. Tell me, like, why do the odds makers always kind of like count you out?
I think there's a lot of reasons, but I mean, I think I don't like show all my cards, so to speak, going into the fights. Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and like show a lot of my training. I mean, even on the Ultimate Fighter, I like to keep my, what I have going on very private. I like to show it in the cage, which, obviously has come to fruition because, I have the belt here. So, I think a lot of things, just not being very vocal about what I can do or what I'm going to do. I just always would rather prove myself.
My last question. This past week, we just saw Amanda Lemos coming off a unbelievable knockout. I know you don't want to look past Weili, but what's your thoughts on a future matchup with her?
I think it's just like Weili, like, you just see these fights. It's like just a matter of time before a lot of these happen, in the division. I don't necessarily think she's next in line for a title shot, just because, she was coming off a loss going into it, but I definitely think she's probably a couple fights away.
All right, so I lied one more. So if she's not, then if you're the matchmaker, who would be?
Geez, I don't know. You got to ask Mick. But I've beaten most of the girls in the top 5, I think. So it's definitely a tough one. I might have to see how the division shakes out a little bit in this next couple months.
Good luck to you.
Carla, back center here, right here. Obviously, when you planned your wedding, you were not crowned a UFC champ again. Did you make the decision to walk down the aisle with the belt before or after you won it?
I think it's from the fabulous media like you people who are just like, are you going to wear the belt down the aisle? And I was like, Well, I guess so. It sounds like a good idea. And I once, the fight happened and I won the belt, I was like, well, now I got to do it. I've said it in enough interviews, and it was definitely a really unique thing to go into the wedding and walk down the aisle with the UFC belt around my waist. Best something new, I guess I could ask for.
And obviously you went into that fight expecting to win, but regardless, having a professional mixed martial arts fight just weeks before a wedding could be a little scary, with getting cuts or bruises. Was that a concern for you at all?
It was my initial concern, and it was when I got the news about the fight, it was definitely, I was on the fence about it, but I went to my wonderful husband, we're in the back, and he, just assured me and reassured me, I guess, that, he knew what he was getting into when he was marrying a fighter, and, like cuts or bruises. I mean, he was there for me and was going to love me no matter what. So, I mean, I guess just you want to look pretty for your walking down the aisle and for your husband. But at the end of the day, I'm just glad it worked out.
And I hate to put you on the spot, but which piece of jewelry felt better, putting the ring on your finger or putting the belt on your waist?
I'm going to call it a tie.
Thank you.
Right here, Carla. You talked about the strength of Weili today, and embedded to your coach was also talking about her strength, both in punching power and overall strength. Do you think she's going to be the most physically strong woman you've ever fought?
That's a tough one. I've fought the best of the best for well over a decade. So, fighting people like Tatiana Suarez, Joanna, Claudia, and just, all these fighters that are like pretty large, even Alexa Grasso, who ended up moving up the next fight to a different weight class. I've just fought so many strong and powerful fighters, and I think fighters can be strong in different ways, like grappling, punching. So, I guess we'll see, but I definitely think she's going to be up there.
Carla, over here, right? Hey, when we spoke earlier this year, I'd asked you about kind of that short title reign that you had the first time. You said you mostly didn't really get to enjoy it. It was around Christmas time, and it was kind of hectic and everything like that, and you were right in a fight camp. This one, you had a lot more time to kind of soak it in. It was about 6 months. So, what did you kind of do with this feeling of being champion in this time? Have you been able to kind of do anything with that?
Yeah, it's been really amazing to kind of just see my friends and my family and, just have the belt with me and just be like, hey, champ. And, because in camp, you don't really get to see anybody. You're so focused on training in the fight. So I was able to travel a little bit. It was good to kind of, go to these different places and kind of grow MMA, so to speak, in like different places like Ecuador. And I was able to actually do like some charity work throughout. So that was really rewarding for me because, I feel like having the belt, you can do a lot more good because it definitely grabs more attention, and it's something that's really close to my heart, and hopefully I can do more of after I defend this belt.
Has it opened any other doors in the last couple of months for you, professionally outside of the cage itself? Or?
Definitely more opportunities to do like a few more seminars and things like that. I can't really think of anything in particular, like any acting opportunities or anything, but yeah, hopefully in the future.
And I know you're big on cookies. Obviously, you're the Cookie Monster. Where are you going to get cookies afterward?
I heard of this place out here that's really good. It's called Levain. I heard that cookie place was really good out here in New York, so I might try that if I can get up early enough.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Everybody all done? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.